We should have done it for everyone.
Taika
Waititi. So yeah, we're just gonna leave that. Hi, welcome to Behind the Hype with me, your host, as always, Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is Chewy Darso.
Hi.
And Jonathan Hardesty.
Dang it. Hi.
I like it. I don't think it'll be the same thing next week because that would be ridiculous. But who knows? So I hope everyone enjoyed listening to John Singleton month. I know I had a lot of fun diving into the movies, most of them. And this month should be pretty much the same of, holy crap, these should be a lot of fun to dive into. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm guessing that this will be the first time where we review the worst movie first and they get better as we go along. But we'll see.
That's going to be my guess, too.
That's my guess. Because I don't think today's movie is a bad movie. I just don't think it's a great movie.
It's very much an indie movie.
Yeah, it's a low-budget indie film, and it kind of plays out like one, but that's okay. So we're starting out with Taika Waititi and his first full-length feature film. Pretty exciting stuff. He went from this to Flight of the Conchords, which I'm sure we'll do for where they've been doing at some point. I'm guessing, John, you didn't have time this week for another one?
Weirdly, I somehow made time.
Oh, cool. What'd you have?
Thor Ragnarok, because I've been watching all the Marvel movies in order. And that came up actually a day or so ago as I pushed through to the end. And I think my order after seeing them all the Thors in a very short period of time is Ragnarok is definitely better than Dark World, but I think I like the first one more.
I mean, it's a tough one.
And it's tough because the stuff I like about Taika Waititi as a filmmaker, a very humorous guy, the jokes. I like the jokes in Thor Ragnarok quite a bit, but it just I don't know. It just doesn't seem to. It didn't gel for me this time around, which was unexpected for me.
I mean, I could see it. I think you'd have to be in the mood for Thor Ragnarok. Like, compared to like the rest of the Marvel movies, which all kind of feel like a certain flavor of ice cream, Thor Ragnarok kind of does its own thing. So it could have just bumped you at the wrong time.
Thor Ragnarok is when you go to the soda dispenser and you're like, I'm going to make a rainbow.
We all flavors. Yeah, that is Thor Ragnarok, but like the best and worst way.
I know, it's when you do it the right way.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is amazing. Not the other ways where it's just like you throw up.
But every now and then you have that like, well, that one didn't taste too good. Like, did you really have to get rid of Anthony Hopkins like that? Like, that didn't really work.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, No, so there was a lot of those moments where it's like, oh, this is funny. I really like this. Or, oh, this doesn't quite work as a Thor thing. Oh, no, this was really funny. Like, all the funny bits still landed, but they were also at odds with the Thor bits, if that makes any sense at all.
Having watched the movie multiple times, I know exactly what you're talking about. But I'm glad we had one for where have they been doing. It sort of just worked out as you're trying to get through all of those things.
Yeah. Finish, by the way. Oh, what a beast. I'm glad I'm done with Marvel for... Let's see, the rest of the year, probably.
Well, yeah, I mean, Black Widow might come out this year. You might see it. Who knows? Question mark?
Question mark.
I really feel like, slowly but surely, Chewie is just being proved right that there is no Black Widow movie.
It's all been a lie. They didn't actually want to make her a movie.
They made a trailer, and they just didn't expect anyone to actually want to see the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Shit, I guess we better actually go film this thing now.
They've breathed a sigh of relief when the pandemic hit, because it was like, we just did the trailer. Here's hoping everyone forgets about the movie. Oh, there's a pandemic. Oh, good. Oh,
thank
everyone
God.
Take five. Take five.
Take five. We can actually go film this thing now.
I actually want to make more than one female-driven movie. I mean, come on. Aren't they sated with one?
God, we gave them a movie, and can't they just go watch Wonder Woman?
We gave them that one scene in Avengers Endgame where all the women were on screen at once. Isn't that not enough?
No, because that was stupid. Hey, look, they're all together for some reason. And guess what? The woman that they're backing up doesn't need any of them to back her up.
Yeah, and arguably the first female Avenger isn't there.
Yeah. You killed the... Whatever.
Taika didn't direct that one, although he is in it for a hot minute.
No, and his Korg is wonderful.
Korg is always wonderful.
Piss off, Ghost.
Still great. But let's turn back the clocks. Go way back in time to like what 13 years ago.
2007.
Yeah, not really that long ago, but it feels like a long time ago.
Now someone is starting puberty now when they were just born when this movie came out.
That's a really, really weird way to look at it.
I dig it.
You're not wrong.
Not wrong. It works.
It's just a strange way to tell time.
They get to the emotion.
Well, where would somebody be in puberty? Nope, that tracks.
A 13-year-old is getting to the same emotional level that Jermaine Clement's character in this movie's at.
Oh.
Except maybe they'll get past it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. No, that now that works a lot better. So today's movie, if you have not picked up from either the file you downloaded or us kind of dancing around it, is Eagle versus Shark. There are no animals in this movie. It's a bit of a bummer.
Isn't there a cat
there
at
might
some
be.
point?
I was making the joke that no eagles fight sharks.
Okay. Fine.
As much as we would like them to.
She kills a seagull.
She does kill a seagull.
Right. And if you really want an eagle versus a shark,
murders a seagull.
yeah.
It's pretty great.
And if you want a legit eagle versus shark, there's a video online right now on the web circulating of a eagle or some big bird of prey just taking a shark away.
I believe it's a hawk, and it's a baby shark. And then, do. That's not it. I was going for, it's electric?
Boogie, woogie, woogie.
Now I don't even know what I'm singing, but I know what video you're talking about, so we have that.
But yeah, there are link it in the show notes, so you have to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, let me look in our show notes. Ooh. So Eagle vs. Shark came out 2007. Middling reviews, to be a little nice to it. Roper of Ebert and Roper famously said, "They've already made this movie. It's called Napoleon Dynamite." Woo! Roper with the hot takes.
Ooh.
Although we'll get into it. I do see what he's talking about. I disagree with him, but his claim has a little bit of merit. But yeah, so we can kind of dive into it. I'll do a very, very quick breakdown because I'm the one who picked it. I remember being very excited for this movie, and it didn't come out in any theater near me, which was kind of a bummer because I was in college. It figured it should. I mean, God, was I in Chicago at 2007? Maybe. But either way, I wanted to see it in theaters. I wasn't able to. I eventually rented it and watched it, and I went, it was all right. So yeah, quick breakdown. So we have Jermaine Clement, who plays Jared, and Lauren Taylor, who plays Lily. Jermaine Clement's a bit of a doofus. Lauren Taylor thinks she might be a doofus, but she loves Jermaine Clement. She's mousy, and she is just smitten for Jermaine Clement because he comes in every day and orders his food at the restaurant she works at, and she's like, that guy is going to be a stone cold fox in like 13 years. And she was right, let's be fair. Anyhow, so she loses her job. She's a bit bummed out. He invites an attractive girl at her place, or at her job, to go to a party who clearly is not going to go, but she goes, and it's a dress up like your favorite animal. He dresses up like an eagle. She dresses up like a shark, and we have a title of a movie. Slowly but surely they become romantic. He reveals to her that his whole life has been building up to a showdown with his high school bully, and he needs to go back to his hometown to face off with him. So he takes her with, because her brother has a car. While there, she befriends his family. He goes nuts because of lots of problems that he doesn't know how to deal with. He breaks up with her, but she doesn't have a ride home, so she just kind of has to hang out for a few days until the bus shows up. She becomes better friends with his family while he kind of goes off the deep end of trying to impress his dad, and it doesn't really go that well. He eventually faces off against his bully, who a year ago got into a car accident and lost functionality of the lower half of his body. Jermaine Clement beats him up anyways, or tries to beat him up anyways, loses the fight, runs away, realizes maybe he isn't all that he thought he was, and she realizes that maybe that's okay, and maybe they can still make it work somehow. I'm not a huge fan of the ending of this movie. That's partially why I don't think it's the best. I don't think it fully sticks the landing, so I kind of fell apart there along with the movie. But that's where we're at.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So quick round the table. What do we think? I just kind of made my opinion pretty clear.
Well, this was one of the movies that I saw when I had all the free time in the world in Chicago. You know, young and don't have very much money, but have a lot of free time. So I saw this in a free screening, probably waited 3 hours to see it. I remember being like, I see potential, but I felt awkward and terrible the whole time I was watching that. And really, it's just not the genre that I go for, because when people describe it, compare it to Napoleon Dynamite, I feel that. I don't really like Napoleon Dynamite. It's a style of comedy that I'm like, when you constantly want me to feel like I shouldn't be here, I actually don't want to be here, and I don't want to watch your movie anymore.
A fair response. John, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I'm kind of sitting in very similar circles as you guys in your views, and even to the Roper review. Having seen, I was into Napoleon Dynamite when it came out, and me and a few kids in high school, we thought it was just hilarious, and we knew people in our Midwestern school, our grade of 30 people. Like we knew people who fit all these little things, and it was kind of great.
Really?
And that awkwardness, that moment in time, was the perfect time for me to just enjoy that level of awkwardness. And throughout this movie, I'm just like, this is... At a certain point, I was wondering how much time was left in the movie. And I don't mean that because it was boring. It was more like these things aren't landing, and the awkwardness is so sustained. And it wasn't as endearing the longer this movie went on for me.
No, I feel like it just takes a little too long for Jermaine Clement to kind of come around. For Jared's character to kind of stop being Napoleon Dynamite. Like, I don't want to keep comparing it to Napoleon Dynamite, but that really is the best comparison, because a lot of his mannerisms are very similar to Jared Hess in Napoleon Dynamite. He has like the yes, he has the same sort of like physical mannerisms, he has some of the same like verbal mannerisms. Like, it's just a lot. There's just a lot there that really kind of harkens back to it. And I don't think it was intending to do that at all. I think it's just kind of unfortunate that it shaped up that way.
I just feel like the characters in this movie are more real than Napoleon Dynamite. For me, everyone in Napoleon Dynamite is like a cartoon character. Like
there was a cartoon show.
It was?
There was a cartoon after the
there
movie,
was
there was a cartoon show.
But
it wasn't very good.
That's the only thing that is a saving grace for Napoleon Dynamite for me. I'm like, it is superly awkward the whole time, but it's all heightened reality. This movie, I feel, is more in reality, and a lot of these people are just sad.
But here's where I'll counter just a hot minute of, yes, you're right. They are more real people, and it is more relatable. Does that make it better? Kinda? Because I see what you're saying, where the heightened reality of Napoleon Dynamite is its own thing. Like, it kind of makes it as awkward as it is to be there in the room with these people, like these very awkward moments, like the hand on the knee with the uncle and I forget, Kip or something his brother's name is. Like, all these moments, they're played for laughs, but they're also played in this world of like, oh, this is just a joke. Like, clearly, like, it's almost like a sketch movie, whereas this one doesn't have that feeling, so it feels more real. So when there are problems with the movie, say like story or character or something like that, they resonate a lot more, whereas Napoleon Dynamite could get away from these things because of that heightened reality. This one, when you notice like the glaring issues that I know Chewie has one, I'll let her get into in a second, but when you notice those glaring issues, they bother you a lot more. So whereas I could say, like, I think it makes it a little bit better because I think the characters are more realized, they're more three-dimensional, they feel like real people. I can't really disagree with what, I'll let Chewie take it from here, but with what she had to add.
Well, the core message of this movie, from what I get from it, is unconditional love, which feeds into this fantasy of the nobility of the mother-wife.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I never like those type of characters. If she would have been like, we can be friends at the end of this movie, I would have been much better with it. But I do like that they end on the same sort of like graduate type moment where they might have made the wrong decision, more so she might have made the wrong decision.
I mean, she did make the wrong decision.
Yeah, because there's this character that Jermaine plays, Jared, is not a man. I understand he had a lot of problems growing up. It stunted his emotional growth. He now might be in a position to grow up. And it's not her job to bring him there. He needs to get there himself. And the movie establishes it in a way that no matter how many times he lies to her, throws her under the bus, breaks up with her, has like just aggressive tendencies towards her, she will love him no matter what. And it's just like, why?
Yeah, no, I'll even take it one step further. Of you said unconditional love. It's not even unconditional love. It's unconditional, like, love at first sight.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a weird...
It's cute that they share a mole. It is.
It's cute that they share a mole. It's cute that they do a lot of things in the movie, but everything you just said is spot on. Like, yeah, like the whole... her just waiting for him to figure himself out so they can start the relationship, it's bullshit. Like, and it's fucking weird. Because... Cards on the Table, I saw this movie when it came out, and I haven't seen it again since. And in my head, I wrote a different ending. I was surprised while rewatching it last night that they ended up together. In my mind, I always remember them not ending up together because that's the logical conclusion here. And it's not anything to say, like, I don't think Jermaine Clement did a bad job with Jared as a character. I think he did a great job.
All the actors are top notch.
Yeah, it's clearly a little bit low budget. They're a little younger. They're not fully in their craft yet, but they're good at what they do. They, like I said earlier, they feel like fully three-dimensional characters, which is great. But that also means the problem of when this happens, it's like, okay, well, now this three-dimensional character is a fucking asshole. Why would you end up back he apologized and got you flowers that you're named after?
Yeah.
That's not enough.
Yeah, and it's a classic sort of tale almost of being stuck in the castle against your will with a guy who everyone is telling you you're meant to be with. And you kind of just get Stockholm Syndrome and then end up with him. Because she gets stuck in his house for 3 to 4 days after he breaks up with her.
Yeah, about that.
And then she develops good relationships with his family, even though his father treats her a little bit better. A little bit.
By the end of the movie, he's warm to her. In the beginning, he's a little cold.
Well, yeah, because the whole family has problems. You have a father who may or may not actually have any problems walking, is just definitely clinically depressed. A sister and husband are just constantly getting into Ponzi schemes. And then I shouldn't really understand if it was a younger brother or a younger nephew who didn't really seem to have anything.
The guy in the Megadeth shirts?
Yeah.
I don't know who he's, but he's cool.
And then an 8 or 9 year old daughter who just seems sad.
Well, of course she's sad. Her dad is Jared. The guy sucks.
Yeah.
But okay, so there's two things that I think that we should try to at least approach a little bit. And the first one is what I think the intention of the film was. And I'm totally making this up. I have nothing to base this off of. I didn't listen to any commentary. I don't know Taika. But this is what I got from the movie. I took it as, here is Lily, who sees herself as the world's biggest loser. And here is Jared, who sees himself as the world's biggest badass. He's going to go back to his hometown, prove how awesome he is, and kick his bully's ass. And they kind of meet when they're both in their wrong spot. Like, she is not a loser. She's actually pretty great. He's kind of a loser. And throughout the movie, she slowly realizes as she gets to know his family and sees like how they see her, like seeing herself through other people's eyes, her confidence just starts spiking throughout the entire thing. She starts hanging out with new people. She goes to a party she wasn't invited to. She drinks and has the night of her life. Sleeps in a bush. She has a great time. She comes into her own. And at the same time, Jermaine Clement, who was at that level of confidence, is just crashing down all the way to the point where he gets his ass kicked again by his bully and realizes, oh, maybe I'm not that great. So you have this sort of like twin ships meeting in the night sort of thing of, whoa, we're both on this path, and at the end of the movie they kind of land at the same place. That's what I think the movie was trying to do. I don't think it fully pulled it off because, and that's where I'm going to get to part two. There is something to be said about a film like this being written and directed by a man. When you have the male character have all of these crazy backstories and expect to be taken for all of this bullshit, and the woman who's just willing to.
She's just an orphan.
She's just an orphan.
That's the only backstory we get from her.
Yeah, and then you have all this stuff from Jermaine Clement, and there's always something I think a little bit interesting whenever you hear like complaints like we've just had about the film, and you look at the writer, producer, it's all male. And it's like, yeah, that tracks. Especially this early in his career, like this low budget thing. I can't imagine he had a lot of female voices on set trying to help him. And I'm not trying to take a dig at Taika. I think Taika's great. But this early in his career, I could see a little bit of that masculinity problem being there.
Oh, totally. It's a male fantasy film.
Yeah.
And for a male fantasy film, it's a good one. It would. Well, no, I can't say that because that's my pairing for the end of the movie. The Thing.
Damn.
Dang it. But yeah, it's like I said. This is a movie illustrating the fantasy of the nobility of the mother-wife.
Yeah.
And there's lots of men that want that type of wife. The one who will love them no matter how terrible they are to them. And be motherly. And that's what she is the whole movie. She never really... She kind of talks back to him. He mostly asks her questions, and then she will reply emphatically. Like when he's like, do you want to have sex? Yep. Like, I mean, it's a very cute scene. It's very cute. Except, it's probably terrible sex. It lasts for, 30 seconds, and they both have their shirts on. But
you're not wrong. It looked like pretty terrible sex.
She, I guess, enjoyed it because she came back the next day.
Well, she's had a crush on him for we don't know how long, and she finally got to sleep with him. Yeah, she's feeling pretty good about herself.
Yeah.
I don't know why her sights were set on that guy, but good for her. She got what she wanted.
Yeah.
There was a moment of him? when I realized at the very beginning of the movie, I like Jermaine Clements, but him?
Yeah.
That's why I had to say that.
This movie.
That's why I had to say that joke at the beginning of the movie. Of she knew how attractive he was going to be later. Because you look at him in Legion, that's an attractive man.
He is very attractive in
Yeah. You look at him in Eagle vs. Shark, ooh.
But they were purposely, that mullet.
Here's the another thing. I got to give, hats off to hair and makeup in this movie. They took two rather attractive people and successfully made them pretty dorky.
She was never not attractive.
No, they just moused her up a lot. But whenever they got a close up on her, it's you got to keep keep it far back, man, or we're gonna realize that she's a hottie. It just doesn't.
Her eyes, I could fall asleep with her eyes.
Yeah, it's you probably should put context in there. Give her a different color eye. Give her a white one.
Well, and props too to the actors, because you kind of have to, for these two people, they'd have to act unattractively, and I can only imagine what that problem might be like. To act just to slouch over and put that into performance. So I mean, props to them, because I could buy it from the performance, but like you guys said, if you're not careful, you look too long, it's wait a minute, these are good looking people.
Yeah. Hang on.
I mean, that's most movies.
Wait a minute, who are you trying to fool here?
And I don't know how long it took to film the movie, but I will say in the beginning of the movie, I thought Jermaine Clement looked a little bit more nerdy. And then by the end, I'm like, that's just a handsome guy in a mullet.
Yeah, with a mullet with bangs.
Yeah, I see what you're trying to do, but that's just a handsome guy with bad hair.
Right. So even as these kind of problematic elements are happening, and it's oh no, she's going to be mother wife to him, and this is the idealized. You're but he's... You know what? He's not fooling me. He's good looking. They should be together anyways because they're good looking.
Yeah.
Wait, but no, that's not right. No,
that's not the point of this movie.
That's not the point of this movie. But wait, no, but they are. By the end, I'm just oh.
Yeah.
Even for the problems, it's yeah, no.
I wish she could have told him off at least once, because I'd be more comfortable with their relationship after that. Especially when she comes back after the party, and he's just berating her about her not coming back.
It's either that, because the whole the way he just throws it in her face of the whole you should be careful because next time there won't be somebody waiting up for you. It's what does that even do for me? You did nothing.
She didn't even know he would be waiting up for her.
Yeah,
you weren't a thought in her mind.
And
Dum-dum.
A lot of that dialogue, taking it out of context, is funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it is funny. It's just when you really think about what he's doing and she's just standing there taking it, then it's not as funny.
No, I agree. I really wish she had pushed back just a little bit harder, because you have that moment when she's out with his dad, and his dad talks about oh yeah, my wife, she moved over here. He's wait, I thought she was dead. He's no, and she's just you just see that look on her face of how much has this motherfucker lied to me?
About almost everything.
Every day. He never stops lying.
Yeah.
He is a compulsive liar.
Well, he tells her that he's depressed. And if you're a certain type of depressed person, you also turn into a liar.
Yeah, no, they often go hand in hand from my very minimal knowledge. But I mean, either way, like you just kind of have this like constant betrayal, constant lying, kind of a dick, rather violent.
Cockhole.
Yeah. And it's like cockhole. It's a good one.
From his sister. I love his sister.
A wienergasm.
Holy shit. Her sister and his sister and her husband are now 13 years after the movie came out, by far my favorite characters in the movie. And only because of the fucking tracksuits.
Oh, those are some great tracksuits.
And their constant Ponzi schemes.
No, the tracksuits are great in and of themselves, especially the husband's, who's always wearing this short shorts tracksuit, which is just hilarious. But the fact that they sell these tracksuits, like that is part of their job. And one by one throughout the movie, sooner or later, every character wears one, which means they've sold them to everyone. Yes, they're caught in a Ponzi scheme, but they're not bad at it.
They're not bad at it.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a nice detail. I appreciated seeing a lot the people in them throughout the movie.
Oh, especially like when Lily has to wear hers to the party. I'm like, I just love this.
She didn't have anything else.
No, she would have been better off just going naked than in one of those tracksuits, but good for her. She ended up naked at some point, just running off into the ocean.
Woo!
Oh my god, I just love that.
Is.
It's a horrible scene. Not horrible scene. It's a very well done scene, but it's horrible watching Jermaine just berate her. But I love that. So where'd you sleep last night? In the bushes. It's just so matter of fact. Yep. In the bushes.
The dialogue is the best part of this movie. I mean,
Taika's a fucking great writer.
You can see all of the potential for the future in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it was great seeing this movie and Thor, two very different ends of time. And to see those same things exist this early on in his career.
Yeah. And
it was so great.
The awkward stylings that he was using in this movie definitely got polished up to bring us What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
There's so many things here, and like that's why it's kind of fun watching this one, because there might be some bruises on it that we don't like. There might be some problematic areas, but like you can just see such an insanely strong voice just right out of the gate. It's like, yeah, this is a guy to watch.
Yeah, and it's yeah, I agree. Especially even though I agree with Chewie that the ending, like, I don't like it. I think your idea of just her dumping him, moving on.
She doesn't even need to dump him. She could have been like, once you figure your stuff out, we can come back to this type of thing.
Yeah.
Because he'd already broken up with her. They're not a couple. All she has to do is say, oh, thank you for the flowers. Maybe we'll date when you figure your shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he doesn't need her to be his mother, essentially.
Yeah. But again, I mean,
but even though despite that, like, after watching this, just trying to go back in time, I would be interested to see where he goes next. And I would definitely be on board immediately for whatever next film he does as of 2007.
Absolutely. I mean, because it was just kind of, and it's tough to say this when we go back to like the beginning of the episode when we're talking a lot about Napoleon Dynamite, but just kind of looking at it from this like kind of original, new, fresh voice. Like it was kind of different at the time. Like, yes, we've seen this story time and time again, but I just kind of felt different, and I couldn't really, especially at the time, I couldn't really put my finger on why it felt different. Now knowing who Taika is as an Academy Award nominated director, we'll get there in a few weeks, but like just knowing who this huge voice is, it's just kind of like, oh, that's what was different,
right? And knowing that and knowing that he intends to put some more serious, grounded elements into his humor, and that you're going to kind of get both of those. I think going back to this after knowing about Taika was a benefit, because it's like, oh, you're gonna bring some of these more serious elements into the goofiness and kind of try to weave them together a bit more so than a Napoleon Dynamite, which is all cartoon, all silly and ironic, and it was like that's that vibe, but this was more earnest.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, as opposed to Napoleon Dynamite, it just took like, I don't want to say it took risks, but it kind of took some more risks. Like, especially like with the ending of like fighting the bully. Like, clearly everyone watching that scene is like, okay, well, the bully's in a wheelchair. He doesn't look or sound like that bad of a guy.
And he's apologizing. And
like,
it's a real apology.
Yeah, like he legitimately feels bad for affecting Jermaine's life the way that he did, even though like clearly Jermaine Clement is placing a lot of blame on him when it should be going more towards his dad, but that's for a therapist to figure out. But like you're watching this scene, it's like, oh, okay, so Jermaine Clement's gonna learn his lesson, and we're starting the nice swell of music. They're gonna maybe shake hands, and he's whacking with nunchucks now.
That would hurt.
Like,
That would hurt
those
so
hurt.
bad.
Those
wow,
hurt,
he's
man.
really going to town with those nunchucks, and he's getting his ass kicked, and wow, that did not go the way I thought it would.
Yeah.
It went the way that in real life you would kind of expect it to, if he started fighting. I can't imagine. I still can't imagine that anybody still would fight him after that apology and seeing him in a wheelchair. I'm like, oh wow, I am just hanging on to things I don't need to be anymore.
Yeah.
Like that should be a really good wake up call, but no, it took him getting taken to the ground to be that wake up call.
All of his training just didn't work out.
What training?
He had that, that stump, that tree stump thing, like in Three Ninjas.
Yeah. But in the Three Ninjas, there was a bell and lights, and when you kicked it in the groin, the lights went off and went ding.
He didn't have that much time.
They didn't have budget for that in this.
And then,
Come on,
and then he
jeez.
had his bike, and he had a picture on the wall that he did his thing. I just imagine that Jared's character really liked the movie Three Ninjas.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they got Three Ninjas in New Zealand, but I'm assuming they did.
Yeah, it's just his level of thought process with karate seemed.
Well, 2007, they probably got it just then, right?
What is this hot new movie? Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. We should just do 3 ninja movies from here on out.
I've only seen the one.
I think there's 4 of them.
I don't know.
4 or 5. I've seen 3 of them. I saw the original trilogy where they recast all the fucking time.
The OT. The only OT.
What have we missed in Eagle vs. Shark? There's a lot of elements to it that we could bring up, especially like early or late 2000s movie. The score is, or the music choices are good because they all had to be good. They're indie movies, so they put good music in them.
I do have something that we have. I don't want us to gloss over too much. Is the video game that they play when they meet the homemade Mortal Kombat-esque thing.
Fight Man.
That, yeah, which was a delight to see that level, like those some old school graphics, but just like they've made it for this. So good.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I also like that throughout the rest, or at least for the next big chunk of time throughout the movie, this is Lily. She's the best female Fight Man player I've ever seen.
She she legitimately gets respect from him for that. She lets him win.
She just stands there.
Yeah, and he doesn't realize it. Because, it's Jared.
I mean, it speaks volumes to how smart Lily is. She knows if she wins, she loses him.
Yeah, he would just get mad.
Yep.
And call her a lesbian, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like frigid or just some other like insult bullshit.
Well, they call women lesbians several times in this film. It's like the main insult.
Yeah. Weird insult.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was. I wasn't expecting it to be a custom-made game for the movie, and the level of detail to be so intricate.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I definitely enjoyed, like, they even get to put in, like, their own names. I'm like, you couldn't do that in that style of game.
It would be fun. I'd play that game.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I want it on the Switch now.
Switch port, Fight Man.
Just get on Twitter and message Taika Waititi. Do you still have that coding? Can you email it to me?
I'm sure he'd be like, what?
Can you give it to me in an After Effects file, and I will do the rest. Thank you.
I'll take it the rest of the way.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much everything that we can kind of get through in this movie. Yeah. So it's time for favorite moments in space. Sorry, I just felt right. Mine, I'm gonna have to go with. It's a weird moment, mostly because we don't like how the ending worked, but I still love the moment, and that's the stop motion rotten apple core. Healthy core, no apple. Aw, they do belong together.
Because he is rotten to the core.
He's rotten the core. She has no outer shell, but together they'd make one whole apple.
Aww.
And like they go on their own separate journeys, which is then claymation throughout the film, and then they eventually end up on the same beach together. I'm like, I would have just Taika, I would have just watched a whole movie about these two apple bits getting together. You didn't have to put people in this. So it might not be my favorite point story-wise, but it's just such a sweet moment out of context. So,
Yeah, I ask anyone who watches it to be like jaded or ironic while watching that and not be like, oh, that's
aw,
sweet.
look at that. Two little apples. Yeah. They're gonna fuck.
I like. Gross.
That's how I think it. Yeah, look at those two cute little apples. They're gonna do it.
I'm happy they didn't animate that. I like
Budget.
when she refuses to sleep in the tent and he comes and he just marches back with the tent. It smells over there. There must be a dead hedgehog. And then he wakes up with him having crawled out of the tent, just clinging to her.
Oh my god! Just him getting back in the tent, like, and the tent just falls down on top of him. You fuck.
Where? I mean, I don't know New Zealand's wildlife very well. Are there wild hedgehogs there?
Honestly, have no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't do any research about that, so can't tell you.
Random dead hedgehog.
That smells really bad. John, what about you?
You know, I think out of all the scenes in this movie, for there are many, probably when they first meet and he gets into like oh yeah, it's a shark. He kind of sizes her up. Their first meeting with the costumes. I think that was funny for me.
Solid
Good.
pick.
What are you? I'm a tarantula.
Seriously, all the animal costumes are fucking amazing.
I mean, for making them at home really fast, they're pretty dang
fucking
good.
amazing. That really makes me go like, okay, maybe these aren't real people because these wouldn't look this good. I've been to theme parties. There's like 10 people that do great and everyone else half-asses it.
Yeah.
You know, I bet if you tried to cosplay those costumes from this movie today, you'd probably be spending $100-something on it.
Oh yeah, yeah. These were not slapdash together.
Yeah. But that said, I still want to cosplay as I'm the tarantula.
It's a solid choice. So double feature with this one could be a little tough, but Chewie already has one locked and loaded, so I'm gonna let her go first.
500 Days of Summer.
God damn it! That was gonna be mine. Why was it yours?
Because it's the same sort of thing where it's all about a guy having this idea of what a woman should be, essentially. And whether or not Taika intended that, like, I feel like at the time he really liked the idea of the noble, unconditional love female trope. And same thing with like 500 Days of Summer. I mean, in that movie, the guy is obsessed with the perfect ideal of a woman who is once a quirky bro and also a slut.
Yeah, I would argue that 500 Days of Summer has a few more problems than this one.
Oh, yeah.
And I even like, I like 5
Days. A
Days.
few more problems.
I enjoyed that movie, but there are some problems.
But it's the same. I feel like they would pair well together, unlike the weirdness of what men expect and what women actually want.
Sure. John, do you have one?
I think so. This one, it's been a while since I've seen this one, but I think it would be, if anything, an interesting pairing is this and Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Oof.
You took it to a
Just
dark
something.
place.
Oof. Yeah. It's me. Welcome to the dark place.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Oof.
But
all
like,
I have to
I'm
say.
willing. Yeah, I'm willing to go.
I'm not coming to your double feature. I'll add that.
It's a lonely double feature
okay.
where I'm there by myself.
Explain, John. Explain.
The main and only connection is just the awkward people, and the rest of it's just extrapolating out from that in terms of expectation. Like the scene with him confronting the bully. At no part of that was I able to predict where that was going to go, and kind of the same with Welcome to the Dollhouse. So both take very interesting directions, and you wouldn't you'd be surprised by having one after the other.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, I'm going for weird and dark as like the double feature theme. So weird and dark.
No, I like it. The Welcome to the Dollhouse was one of my favorite movies for like 5 years, and then after those 5 years, I rewatched it and went, "That's a great movie that I will never watch again."
Right. I have a feeling if I ever went back to that, I'd feel the exact same way.
Yep.
But just knowing that, I'd be like, well, that would make a very interesting experience for someone's feature at the New Bev, for example.
Sure. Yeah. Oh. Oof. Shit. So I also thought Welcome to the Dollhouse. I wasn't going to pick that one, but it was in the wheelhouse, along with 500 Days of Summer. No, that was it. Clearly fits, or we both wouldn't have thought of it. So I'm gonna go. I have like 2 or 3 that I'm like between, because they're all would be a very strange double feature, but I'm kind of okay with it. So let's. Oh yeah, Scott Pilgrim. There it is.
There you go.
Versus the universe?
Yeah. Is it the universe or the world?
Fights the world.
Versus the world.
John,
Scott
which one
Pilgrim
is it?
versus the world, I think.
Versus the world.
Okay.
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim. Because I actually think that'd be a pretty good pairing. I'd watch this one first and then move into Scott Pilgrim. It's kind of like that. Here's the grounded, odd people. Like, this is kind of closer to what they really are. And then you go to Scott Pilgrim. This is what they wish they were.
Right.
And
Maybe, you know what?
And
I'd flip it.
Scott is also a major jerk to a girl who's super dedicated to him for no good reason.
She pushes back a little bit harder, but they do still end together, and they shouldn't. But I never read the book. John, you read the books, right? Did they end up together in the book?
I forget, because the end of the book is really weird.
Okay.
Especially with Gideon, because he has a bunch of X's in like a weird stasis chamber power thing, and it gets out there. Having watched the movie and then go back to the book, I'm just like, oh, what?
I really should read that book.
But
It's a
in the
lot
book,
of X's.
Yeah.
in the book, Scott grows up, and I don't remember if I think he ends up with Ramona, but they both come at it from a very equal, like, we've spent time away. Scott, you've grown up, and then they come back, I think.
See, that's better.
That's better, yeah, because the movie is just kind of like, oh, I guess I forgive you for being such a dickhead.
Yeah, no, Knives should have just gone off on her own thing.
Yeah.
But Knives does go off on her own.
Yeah, Knives
thing.
does go off on her own thing. Ramona Flowers. He ends up in Ramona Flowers,
Oh, I
not
forget.
Knives.
It's been a while since I watched that movie.
Yeah,
I was
but there
thinking
is
Knives,
actually an ending
but
where
being a jerk.
him and Knives end up together, and they didn't use that, and I'm like, thank you, because she's cooler than him.
Yes, so much cooler.
Yeah. And, I mean, let's be honest. Scott should have ended up alone, and he should go and become a better person, and then date somebody.
Yeah.
Just like Jared. They do fit together. Hooray!
Though if I had to choose between the two, I'd probably end up with Scott.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
He can pull a knife,
swords
or
out
he
of
can
his
pull a
chest.
sword out of his chest. That's awesome.
He can walk into a room to the Seinfeld theme. Like that's a
That's a superpower.
that's a good. I like that.
It might get a little annoying, but it'd come back around.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of annoying. Can you come back like a
As
week?
long as I can figure out how to do a Kramer entrance successfully and not fall over.
I think you had to fall a couple times. You'll get
Yeah.
there though. So that was Eagle versus Shark, the first of the month for Taika Waititi. I think we did pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we did good all the time. So what are you talking about?
Oh, we've done poorly before. I'm not going to name which episodes, but we've done bad before.
I think this is another one where I'm like, I feel very harsh on this movie during the review, but I'm like, I don't hate watching it.
I think that's kind of fair. Like I did the same thing, but like we kind of mentioned that throughout. Like there are glaring problems in this movie, but I think that's kind of its time. Young director, young writer who, let's be honest, if Taika Waititi rewrote Eagle vs. Shark to make next year, I think he'd make a very different film.
Yeah.
It'd be a little bit funnier. It might be a little bit more bombastic. I think the characters would be more even. He's just a better filmmaker now. Like I don't think we'd have these problems, but I that's why I'm willing to forgive these problems and be like, yeah, it's not a bad movie. Like, just watch it with this stuff in the back of your head of like, yeah, there's some shitty parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a good indicator too is like if we would watch it again, and anytime soon. And for this one, I probably would, like, because there's enough that's good in it that it feels fine. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, I don't feel like watching this any other time soon. Like I'd put it on again.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's problems.
Maybe
but
at
it's not
the
bad.
end of this, at the remake, she says horse and he says damn. Give her the upper hand.
Yeah.
There you go.
So next week, coming up, we have the movie Boy.
Boy,
Ooh, I'm excited.
I have not seen the whole way through. It was one of those movies that I started when it hit Hulu, and then my internet went out, and I'm like, I'll finish it tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. So I've seen the first 45 minutes of Boy, and I really liked it, and I can't wait to finally finish it for next week's episode.
Yeah, and you know what? I think I never actually saw the very end. And I don't remember anything from it now, but I saw it at AFI Fest years ago, and I had to get to another screening. And I was like, this is funny. This filmmaker's great. I love him. I hope he gets to make more in the future. And now I look back, I'm like, oh, you sweet summer child.
Oh, yeah. He did quite a bit more. Speaking
I've never seen Boy.
So we have Boy next week. The week after that, we have The Hunt for the Wilder People. It's
Yay.
another one that I've seen half of. I don't know how I've done this with so many fucking Taika movies. And then after that, we're going to do Jojo Rabbit.
Woo!
Which John already watched for Scarlett Johansson month, so he gets to rewatch. Lucky him. And I'm just really excited for all these.
Yeah.
Like, these are movies that I've really kind of... Jojo Rabbit I was going to watch as part of Scarlett Johansson month, so I was saving it. And then we just didn't have time for it. I don't remember what we swapped in instead. So I'm like, we'll do Taika month, and I'll watch it then. So that one has just been on my radar for months now, and I finally get to watch it. I'm really excited. So I think... Yeah, that's everything, right? That's 4 movies.
If anything, we may have a little bit of a sidebar during the Jojo Rabbit episode for Scarlett Johansson's performance.
Yeah,
because
why not?
I know it'll address some complaints we've had about her roles, too. So, like, I'm excited for us to revisit this with both Taika and even her performance, too.
I believe, this will be the first crossover of any of the people we've covered.
Yeah, maybe.
Exciting times.
Woo!
So let's do a quick round of plugs, and then we can say goodbye for this show and every other show on the ATH network. Check out athpod.com. On Mondays, we have Casual Cartoons, or I should say on Monday, we have one more episode of Casual Cartoons. I believe it's this Monday. It might be the Monday after, depending on scheduling. And then after that, I am working now with everyone from Venture Bros to finally do a Venture Bros finale. We're hoping to have that up in the second to last weekend of July. And then the very last week of July, the final Monday of July, should, if timing works, be the first episode of Welcome to You Are Doomed, the podcast about Frisky Dingo. And beyond that, be sure to check me out on Nintendo Maine. I guested there last week. There was a really fun conversation just about Nintendo in general. And then they spend like 45 minutes talking about Animal Crossing, which I have nothing to add. But it was a really fun episode, and I really recommend checking both the episode that I was on and any of their shows out, because Nintendo Main's just a great podcast. And then coming up soon, I'm on an episode of Damage Boost, where Brock and I talked about Nintendo, because I just finally bought a Nintendo Switch, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I've got to get on there eventually. Damage Boost, Brock, he's invited me, and I'm like, yeah, we'll do it. And then we haven't talked since, so yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I've noticed when being on Brock's show, I'm going to cut this part out. You really just got to be like, yeah, I'll do it. Let's do it next week. You kind of have to, push.
Right. No, yeah.
Okay, I'll cut that part out. Chewy, what are you plugging?
Superstore.
Woo!
Watch Superstore. Make sure we come back. Because of the COVIDs.
Yep.
I'm not sure what's going on right now.
Let's all keep watching Superstore.
Just, even if you've seen it like 10 times and you're kind of tired of watching TV in general, turn it on and go do something else.
Yeah, in between marble races, turn on Superstore.
Yeah,
I'm assuming everybody else is watching marble races nonstop
just
like me?
Tweet about it a couple times.
Yeah.
Get some trending out there.
Yeah. And John, I believe you have some Demon Days plugging to do.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, no. We've got Demon Days every Wednesday. Four horny tiefling just doing their thing, causing chaos in a world of make-believe. It's great stuff, and you're missing out if you're not listening. And then after that, I guess we have a Discord, we have a Facebook and Twitter, and chat at us, yell at us.
I've been trying to post more games to our Facebook. We've had a lot of fun so far this week. I'm going to keep trying to do it every day. We'll see what we get.
Yeah, that's been fun.
Yeah. So that's everything. Thank you all so much for listening. This was a lot of fun. And we'll see you next week with Boy.
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 Not the one with the one in the wall.
Oh my god. Could it be from Phantasm? Boy!
Or God of War.
Phantasm
Boy!
Instead? Oh my god, I love Phantasm.
See you later, bozos.